ubiquity. And in fact, the last panel was talking about getting this out there. I met a guy on the plane yesterday. I obviously flew in from San Diego. You all know I live in San Diego from the accent, I'm sure. And I was on what's known as the Qualcomm Express. About a third of the people on the plane were Qualcomm folks. And they were telling me that in the next 5 to 10 years, there will be 10 times as many GSM or GPRS type devices in the world than there are today. And more people have devices today, GPRS or GSM devices today, than have running water or electricity. And it's going up by a factor of 10. So this is kind of interesting. So we're really into ubiquity. I mean, I'm not going to ask for show of hands, but I'm guessing if you don't know who Logitech is, you better get back in the cave that you've obviously just come out of. And almost everyone here will have one. So we really like that stuff. And that gives us a cool thing. In the corporate world, by the way, we work with all these people. Isn't that great? Marketing made me put that slide in. We believe in universal video conferencing. It's interesting that actually Jay said, how come video conferencing has been talked about since 1924? Well, actually what's happened is that video conferencing was a technology that worked. I started in 1992, and it was $100,000 a time. And we would sit in a meeting room and people would say, you know, I've come to watch video conferencing today. I told the wife I was doing this. I never tell her what I'm up to at work, but I said I'm interested. And we would do a call over the internet, sorry, over ISDN. And we all know what ISDN stands for. It still does nothing. It's now been replaced by ISDS. It sort of does something. And in fact, in reality, it's been replaced by the internet. Thank you. Thank you, internet, whoever, Al Gore, whoever it was who invented it. So we have sat there for a number of years, and we invented high-def video. High-def video, some people call that telepresence. A very large blue company in San Francisco. Yeah, the total Johnny-come-latelys to the industry. What is telepresence? Telepresence is video conferencing people actually want to use. Okay? Now, I don't mean that it needs to be a $300,000 solution. It needs to be of a quality that people are prepared to use. It needs to be, in fact, look through a window quality. Now, how do you define that? You can't really define what's looking through a window-like quality, really. Well, high definition seems to be a pretty close analogy to look through a window. So 720p high def is pretty good, and we do that from about $2,000 upwards, and then we go up from there. Our competitors like to sell you Learjets, yeah? And then the Bowser to fill the Learjet for the rest of time. We're interested in lowering the cost of the technology and making it ubiquitous, right? At the last panel, they said 5 words, what's your message? I've got one, I'll get it in now before Jay even gets to ask me mine. It's ubiquity, yeah? Now, are we going to make our product 3 millimeters square and sell 100 billion of them? Well, according to my sales target next quarter, yes, but in reality, not yet. But we believe that it's all about the network, right? It's Metcalfe's law. If I've got it and you haven't, I can't ring you. That seems pretty important. So we're all these things as well. I'm interested in what you have to say, right? You're all laughing at me. I feel at least you should talk to me as well at some point during this conversation. We're real relentless innovators of the technology. If you want to know more about that, it's lifesize.com. Come and find out more. We invented high-definition video conferencing after the companies we worked for all said, no one needs that. Well, they did, you know. And it's interesting that Jay's point about video conferencing in 1924, it was a science fiction then. Well, by 1936, it was a reality. And for the next 60, 70 years, it wasn't really good enough that people actually wanted to use it. Now it is. We just need to get it to a mass market. Well, I think Logitech's the answer to that. We got clients? Look, there'll be a quiz at the end. I'm not going to talk about these guys in any one. We have 3 what's the word I'm looking for, use case scenario or existing customers that I was going to talk about today. We're a bit up against it, and I want to hear from you. So JSA Health use this for telepsychiatry. Now, it's all very good doing, as an example, and it's very worthy doing blood pressure, doing any number of blood sugar levels, all this stuff. But if I'm bursting into tears in your office and my blood pressure is 120/80, which one matters, right? The human connection is probably at least as important as all the telemetry. You can tell me everything about me. Can you tell me if I'm suicidal? I'm not. It was just a point, right? But that's true about any psychiatry. You need the human connection in medicine is very important. Jay's point about we can measure, you know, whether your blood pressure goes up and down and all these other things, that's very important. And I'm not suggesting it isn't, but the human connection with your physician, with your doctor, is important at all sorts of levels. If you're being diagnosed with cancer, if you're pregnant, what do you want to do? You'd be sent an email by a telemetry system. Oh, the chemistry has changed in some part of your body, and now you're... Oh, that's nice to know. I'll get it sent as a text next time. No, I think you want to talk to a human being, right? When we talk about hospitals without walls, well, that's what the human connection's about, and that's what LifeSize and video conferencing is about. So telepsychiatry is one. Another one, Jay was talking about training, right? Training, ongoing. I mean, how does any physician keep up? He's got all those ill people to see all day, which probably means he's ill the other third of the time he's not at work, or golf, whichever one of those it is. And then they've got to keep up to date with this enormous range of things that are going on. So why not use it for training purposes? So Hospitals Without Walls is not just about patient care, it's about continuing education. We've got lots of case studies in that. It's really interesting stuff, actually, what they've done up in Seattle. And then another one, of course, is rural healthcare. Okay? If you have a baby and it's 70 miles away from a reasonable baby unit, yeah, you can tell I'm a physician underneath. Pediatric care, I'm sorry. So, I'm just looking in my notebook of medical terms. And do you want to put your ill baby in a car and drive them for 90 minutes to a hospital? And they go, yeah, they're probably all right. Probably a bit sick now, you've just driven them 70 miles. So much better to do other things with it. We've got all sorts of case studies. I'm here all week. It is Vegas, after all. And at this point, I'd like to go back to Jay. I thought he was much more interesting than me. The other guys were more interesting than me too, but Jay was more interesting than me, and I'd like to hear from you folks. So with that, I'll say no more. Thank you for your time.
Outstanding. That was great.
By the way, Simon, if it makes you feel any better, H. Gernsbach was British, and Radio News was an English publication.
We invented everything. It was just... We did. You just perfected it.
Well, I've got a whole bunch of questions, but I promised you're going to be the fourth panelist. So I'm going to open it up to the audience to ask questions.
I have a really oddball question. Imagine I had something called My Animated Life. So that suppose it took a picture of me, and it took all my particulars and all my habits, and I could go through and it could animate for me various decisions about my life. Like I can imagine myself maybe 10 pounds lighter, and possibly ways of getting there. And so, to your point, Jay, it's the norm of the individual. Imagine it could give me maybe 5 or 10-year visions of if I continue on this path or I go on that path, here's what I would be. This would be a day in my life 5 years from now, 10 years from now. Is there anything like that coming so that we could take responsibility and really drive our own lives and truly be, you know, health without walls?
Great question.
Yeah, nothing doing semiconductor, nothing coming from our end on that.
I imagine it's a great idea, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
But
My comment would be augmented reality. Now, augmented reality actually in video conferencing was actually in Dilbert's Book of the Future, which was very disturbing about 20 years ago. In theory, it could be augmented. I don't see any reason why not. But you'd obviously have to start with a good quality image from the person, and then you could do what you wanted with the technology. I don't see why not. It would be enlightening. There was actually bizarrely enough, a British TV show about 5 years ago when they showed people what they were doing to their kids by feeding them junk food, and